Hello, my name is Peter Albright. I am the Bible study facilitator for Accessible Fellowship. I'd like to open today's discussion with an exciting announcement. Beginning this coming Monday, we will, for the sake of improving accessibility, move our weekday Salt and Light session from Thursday morning to Monday afternoon. Starting this coming Monday, Salt and Light will meet on Monday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll find login information below for our Zoom meeting, open to all. Our current study is entitled We Belong to God, written by Elizabeth Soto Albrecht. Now, my wife, Lori, tells me that in the first lesson, I didn't really emphasize the paradox presented in the title. The paradox is most easily described by saying it's the difference between saying, I am overcome by grief, as opposed to, I overcome by grief. The juxtaposition is the core of our last lesson. The upcoming lesson is entitled Esther's Fear. Now, I really like thinking about Jesus' discussion with his two disciples on the road to Emmaus. I am sure that on that trip, he spent some time talking about Esther. After all, the discussion, the Bible tells us, was very pointedly about how the Hebrew Bible, all of the Hebrew Bible, points toward the Messiah. He must have discussed Esther because Esther is so clearly a type of Christ. And there's a good lesson for us today. Elizabeth Soto Albrecht, the author of the Quarterly, quotes John D. Levinson as saying, the paradox is this: Vashti's insubordination renders her powerless. Esther's subordination renders her powerful. Now, our culture nowadays emphasizes rugged individualism. After all, I've got my rights. But if you say that you follow Jesus, you have to think about this. You have to be careful about asserting your rights. Jesus, after all, gave up his rights for the benefit of mankind. You can see it in the life he lived. Read the Gospels. Paul asserts that we should follow that example. 1 Corinthians 8:9 says that we certainly have rights, but don't cause others to stumble by asserting your rights. And Paul again says in Ephesians 2, do nothing out of self-centeredness. Part of the problem is, like Esther at the beginning, we fear giving up our rights. But God set the example. In John 3:16, we read, for God so loved the world. You know the verse. In 1 John 3:16, different book of the Bible, same address, different book, John writes, this is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. We're drifting away from that. We're drifting away from laying down our lives. What does it mean to lay down our life for others? For whom? For what cause? How do we do it? These are the challenges we will be discussing in our next week's Salt and Light. Please join us and contribute to our discussion. Signing clear for now, Peter Albright for Accessible Fellowship.